What if the chaos you're facing right now isn't a setback, but a powerful signal that your biggest breakthrough is just moments away? Have you ever felt on the brink of something great, yet surrounded by chaos? It's natural to question why life intensifies just before a breakthrough. But this isn't mere coincidence. It's a profound sign. It signifies that God is orchestrating something far beyond your imagination, and your blessing is nearer than you perceive. Understand this profound truth. Before bestowing greatness, God tests, refines, and molds you into the individual capable of handling the very desires you've prayed for. Many falter precisely at the precipice of their breakthrough, misinterpreting preparation as punishment or delay as denial. However, when God is poised to unleash something monumental, specific indicators will emerge, and I'm here to illuminate them so you don't miss His divine work in your life.
Are you ready to discern these signs, to persevere a little longer, knowing that what approaches is far grander than anything you've ever anticipated?
Let's dive in. Life often reserves its most rigorous tests for the moments preceding a significant breakthrough.
You may have earnestly prayed, fasted, and placed your trust in God for a breakthrough, only to find circumstances growing more arduous instead of easy. Doors that once beckoned suddenly slam shut. Foundational relationships begin to waver, and challenges surface, seemingly designed to erode your faith, purpose, and even God's promises. It is in these crucible moments that many surrender, unaware they stand on the very threshold of what they've long awaited.
Grasp this vital insight. Opposition frequently serves as the clearest indicator of God's impending grand move in your life. The adversary does not expend energy on those who pose no threat, nor does he instigate turmoil for individuals carrying no intrinsic value. If you find yourself confronting intensified attacks, if life has abruptly grown more difficult, if you feel adrift in an unending storm, this is not the moment to yield. This is the moment to press forward. For what awaits beyond this struggle surpasses your wildest imaginings. Consider Joseph, who received a divine dream of elevation, destined to lead and profoundly bless many. Yet, before this dream materialized, he endured unimaginable betrayal by his own brothers, was cast into a pit, sold into slavery, falsely accused and imprisoned. Imagine his despair. At any point, he could have succumbed to his circumstances, believing his dream a fallacy. But Joseph remained steadfast, even when logic defied hope.
And in a single divine instant, God reversed everything.
One moment, Joseph was a prisoner. The next, he stood before Pharaoh, stepping into his preordained destiny. Now, reflect on your own journey. Have you encountered moments where the pressure felt unbearable, or questioned why everything unraveled, just as you began to believe for something greater? What if, instead of roadblocks, you viewed these challenges as confirmation of your true path?
What if your current struggle is merely the final hurdle before your breakthrough?
This pattern recurs consistently. Just before God acts powerfully, He orchestrates a season of testing, allowing discomforting situations that stretch our faith and compel us to lean entirely on Him. This isn't to inflict harm, but to prepare us, because a premature blessing can become a burden.
If we don't cultivate trust in the struggle, we won't be equipped to manage success when it comes. Certain lessons are exclusively forged in the fire. Certain strengths only honed in the storm.
God desires not merely to grant a blessing, but to ensure you possess the character, faith, and endurance to sustain it. Hence, before a significant event, opposition will mount, and seemingly insurmountable obstacles will materialize. But hear this. This is not the time to retreat. This is the moment to stand resolute, cling to the promise, and trust that God is working, even when unseen. David, though anointed king, did not immediately ascend to the throne.
He spent years evading Saul, seeking refuge in caves and facing relentless battles.
Why? Because God was preparing him, strengthening him, and molding him into a monarch who would not merely wear a crown, but embody the heart of a true leader.
When the time was right, nothing could thwart God's divine ordination. Perhaps you find yourself in a similar place now, feeling pursued, engaged in unexpected battles, questioning the very reality of the promise.
But let me assure you, this is not your story's conclusion.
The very opposition you face is proof of a greater future.
Do not let pressure compel you to surrender, nor allow struggle to instill doubt in God's pronouncements over your life. What He has spoken will come to pass, and when it does, you'll look back on this season, recognizing every hardship, delay, and challenge as essential. For when God is about to bestow something significant, He ensures you are ready to receive it.
Waiting is undeniably one of life's most arduous experiences.
It breeds discomfort, frustration, and can lead you to question whether God has even heard your prayers.
You believe in His promise. You trust He is working, yet nothing seems to change. Doors remain sealed, circumstances stagnant, and you might honestly wonder if you misheard or misunderstood.
But let me impart this truth. Whenever God is about to grant something monumental, He first guides you through a season of waiting. This isn't punishment or discouragement, but preparation. The waiting season is where faith is forged, where God refines your character, strengthens your reliance on Him, and teaches you to embrace His perfect timing over your own. This is precisely where many struggle. For our world champions immediacy, instant communication, instant access, instant gratification.
Yet, God operates on a different timetable.
His timing is flawless. And if He leads you into a season of waiting, it's because He is cultivating something within you that is equally as crucial as what He is preparing for you. Consider Abraham, who received God's promise of becoming the father of many nations, yet years elapsed without fruition. He and Sarah aged, and the promise seemed increasingly impossible with each passing day. Doubt, frustration, and moments of wondering if God had forgotten him must have plagued Abraham. However, God was not delaying aimlessly. He was working behind the scenes, orchestrating something far grander than Abraham could perceive.
When the precise moment arrived, when all elements aligned, the promise manifested, not a moment too soon, not a moment too late.
Perhaps you resonate with this experience, navigating a prolonged, challenging period of waiting. You've remained faithful. You've prayed earnestly, yet nothing appears to shift. You witness others receiving their breakthroughs, stepping into their blessings, and you question God. Have you forgotten me? But let me assure you, God has not forgotten. He is not ignoring you, nor is He withholding from you. He is preparing you, for what He has purposed for you is too significant to be rushed. There are profound lessons exclusively learned in the waiting, and essential qualities God wishes to develop within you that can only be cultivated through patience and unwavering trust.
If He granted the blessing prematurely, you wouldn't be equipped to handle it. If the door opened before its appointed time, it wouldn't be a blessing, but a burden. And God loves you too profoundly to allow that to occur.
David was anointed king as a young shepherd, yet he did not immediately assume the throne. Instead, he returned to the fields, enduring years of obscurity, evading Saul and questioning when God's promise would finally materialize. Yet, during that very period, God was shaping him into the leader he was destined to be. By the time he ultimately became king, he not only wore a crown, but possessed the heart, wisdom, and strength to bear the immense weight of his calling.
If you find yourself in a season of waiting, Don't let discouragement cause you to abandon what God is doing. He is not delaying, He is developing. He is stretching your faith, deepening your trust, and refining you so that when the promise arrives, you will be fully prepared to receive it. And let me tell you, when God moves, it will happen suddenly. One moment, everything will seem unchanged. The next, doors will swing open, prayers will be answered, and you will step into the very reality you've been waiting for. Until that day, hold steadfast, remain faithful, and keep trusting. Because when God leads you to wait, it is always for something far greater than you could ever conceive. When God is on the verge of doing something monumental in your life, He doesn't leave you in the dark. He gives you signs. He places confirmations along your path. The challenge, however, is that many fail to recognize them. They anticipate something dramatic, loud, undeniable. But more often than not, God communicates in ways that necessitate faith to perceive. Have you ever experienced a moment where an internal shift was palpable, yet inexplicable? A stirring deep within your spirit, a profound awareness that change was imminent? That wasn't a random sensation. That was God preparing you. Before every significant divine movement, He offers glimpses, subtle indications that He is aligning circumstances for something greater. This might manifest as an unforeseen opportunity, a door that abruptly opens, or even one that closes, compelling you in a new direction. Sometimes what appears to be a disappointment is, in fact, divine redirection. Consider Moses, who spent years in the wilderness, tending sheep. His life seemingly settled into an ordinary rhythm. Until one day, he witnessed an extraordinary sight, a bush ablaze but not consumed. It captivated his attention, compelling him to pause and observe, and when he did, God spoke. Had Moses been too preoccupied, too distracted, or too entrenched in his routine, he might have missed it. But because he turned aside to see, he received the calling that would forever alter his life. How often do we overlook God's attempts to reveal something to us solely because we are fixated on our own agendas, our own frustrations, or our preconceived notions of how things should unfold? We pray for guidance, yet when God begins to shift things, we resist because it doesn't align with our expectations. But hear me, when God is preparing to bless you, to lead you into something greater, He will send signs. These may arrive through individuals, through circumstances, or through an unshakable inner conviction that you cannot ignore. Occasionally, these signs appear as abrupt endings, a relationship that dissolves, a job that concludes unexpectedly, a door that seemed perfect but remains stubbornly shut. In the moment, it hurts. It's perplexing. But what if that closed door was God's way of protecting you, removing something from your life to create space for something superior? So often, we mourn what we've lost, failing to realize that God was clearing the path for precisely what we had been praying for all along. Other times, the sign manifests as a profound inner conviction. Have you ever felt something stirring so intensely within your spirit that you couldn't dismiss it? A dream, a vision, an idea that persisted, resurfacing despite your attempts to ignore it. That's not mere mental wandering. That's God implanting something within you, something He desires to bring to fruition. But here lies the challenge. When God imparts a vision, it rarely arrives with every detail. He reveals just enough to prompt your next step. Gideon experienced this when God called him to lead. Riddled with doubt, unsure if he had heard correctly, he sought confirmation. And God in His mercy provided it, not once, but twice. Because when God calls you to a purpose, He understands your need for reassurance.
your need for clarity, and He is faithful to provide.
However, be warned, for when God is moving, He doesn't always send things that make logical sense. He asks you to trust Him beyond your sight, to walk through unexpected doors, to believe He is working even when you lack all the answers. So pay close attention to the shifts occurring around you.
Observe the patterns, the opportunities, the unexpected moments that seem too perfect to be coincidences.
Because when God is poised to grant you something monumental, He will reveal it. And those who have eyes to see and hearts to trust will recognize its arrival. When God is about to bestow something monumental upon you, He will invariably call you to step out in faith. He won't provide every detail, nor will He always reveal how everything will coalesce, but He will ask you to trust Him.
This is often where many hesitate. They desire the complete picture, seek guarantees, wish to know the exact unfolding of events before taking the initial step. But faith operates differently. Faith is believing when answers are scarce, moving when the outcome is uncertain, saying yes to God, even when every fiber of your being yearns for more clarity. Consider Peter. He and the other disciples were caught in a tempest, waves crashing, wind howling, when suddenly they saw Jesus walking on the water. And Peter, in an extraordinary act, asked Jesus to call him out onto the water too.
This defies logic. Every aspect of that moment screamed danger, dictated remaining in the boat.
Yet, Peter grasped a profound truth. If Jesus was calling him, he was safer on the water with him than in the boat without him. So, he stepped out. For a fleeting moment, he achieved the impossible. He walked on water. But then, something shifted.
He diverted his gaze from Jesus, focusing instead on the wind,
The waves, the surrounding circumstances, and the moment he did, he began to sink. This is what transpires when fear eclipses our faith, when doubt dictates our actions instead of trusting the one who called us.
Even as Peter sank, Jesus did not abandon him. He reached out and pulled him back up. Because that is the nature of the God we serve. He doesn't call us to step out merely to witness our failure. He calls us so we can learn to trust Him more deeply than ever before. Some of you have felt God calling you to something new. Perhaps He's guiding you to launch a business, enter ministry, relocate, or leave behind the familiar.
But instead of moving, you're hesitating, waiting perfect conditions. A sign so unambiguous,
there's no room for doubt. But let me tell you something. If you wait for everything to make sense before taking a step, you will never move.
Because faith inherently demands a degree of uncertainty. It always requires trust beyond what is visible.
Look at Abraham. God instructed him to leave his homeland, abandon everything familiar, and journey to a place He would reveal to him. Not a pre-shown location, not a detailed roadmap, but a place that would unfold as Abraham obeyed.
And Abraham went. He stepped out, unsure of his destination, but trusting that the one who called him would not fail.
Because he obeyed, he became the father of many nations.
When God calls you to step out, it won't always feel comfortable. In fact, it might feel terrifying.
You might survey your surroundings and find countless reasons why it makes no sense. Hear voices urging you to remain in safety.
But if you desire to fully embrace what God has for you, you must be willing to move when He commands, willing to trust Him, even when the complete picture remains unseen. The truth is, obedience is always the key to unlocking God's promises. So many stand at the brink of their breakthrough, yet never step into it, paralyzed by fear and doubt. But the moment you step out, the moment you say yes, even when it's frightening, you position yourself for God to perform a miracle. Perhaps you've been asking God for something monumental, but He's been waiting for you to take the first step. Perhaps the miracle you pray for resides on the other side of your obedience, the door you've asked Him to open, awaiting your faithful advance. So, what are you waiting for? If God is calling you, trust Him. If He is leading you, follow Him. The blessing awaits on the other side of the step you fear to take.